Welcome everyone to Chatz with Charnie. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel. If you have not already, please click subscribe as well as the notifications bell so that you're always made aware of when a new video is up. And if you like this video, when it comes to the end, please click like. Today, we are continuing with our series, CASA, How Did You Do It? Today's guest is actually someone who I tutored in my academic articles here and lectured. Today's guest is a manager at a Big Four firm, Lorin Poole. Lorin, welcome so much to Chatz with Charnie. Please tell the viewers a bit about yourself and where you are and what's your current job title, which I might have given that away. And how long you've been qualified for.
Thank you so much, Chanel, for this opportunity. So then just a bit about myself. So I was a UWC graduate. I did my undergrad and I did my postgrad. And I was granted with a great opportunity to become academic trainee at UWC, which grew me so much during that year. Did my articles at PwC, and I'm currently now a manager at PwC as well. And recently qualified 2 months to this date. I'm recently qualified chartered accountant.
Congratulations. That is like a wonderful, massive achievement. We all know that, it takes a really long time and a lot of effort, a lot of sufferings, a lot of tears to get there. But that's also why we're interviewing you today, Lorin, so that we can find out what about your journey, what made your journey so great. So tell us, Lorin, why did you decide, or when did you decide to become a chartered accountant?
Chartered accountant. So actually there's like a story for this of why I wanted to become a chartered accountant. I think I was grade 9 in high school and I went to a psycho business game. And it was my first time. A psycho business game is just Monopoly for accountants. And I sat there and there was the CEO, the Southern Regional President of Psycho, Sandile Phillips. And he gave his whole speech of his journey of chartered accounting and that it wasn't smooth for him. And I was like, this is really inspirational. And I was like, at that day, I decided chartered accounting was what I wanted to do. I did more research on it. I said, where should I apply? What universities? And then to myself, I was thinking, oh no, I'm just 3 years and then I'm a qualified chartered accountant at that point. And when I started university, I realized Lorin is not just 3 years. There's like a whole 7-year, 8-year journey to become a chartered accountant. And at that day, I decided chartered accountant is for me. And I've never looked at any other occupation since then.
So you said, it's going to be like a 7-year, 8-year journey. Wait, I had to chuckle because you thought that you were going to be a CA after 3. Wait, and you know what? That actually reminds me of when I started in my first year, in my undergraduate year. I didn't know about taxation. I didn't know about auditing. I didn't know about management accounting. I was just like, I'm here to be a chartered accountant, whatever that entails. I am here to do it. And boy, did I walk into a snowstorm. Oh, but Lorin, you were saying that could be a 7-year, 8-year journey. How long was your journey to become a chartered accountant?
So ideally, firstly, I thought it was a 3-year, and then I heard, okay, for the journey, you have to do your undergrad, you have to do postgrad, you have to do articles for 7 years. So that was always the goal. But unfortunately for myself, I had to repeat my 3rd year. So I did my 3rd year again at University of the Western Cape. And then for me, my journey was 8 years, which I don't regret 1 second. I think the 3rd year of me repeating and going through, I've learned a lot about myself and it put a lot for me in perspective of what is my priorities. If I want to get to the CA qualification, it's not just technical, it's not just academics, but it's soft skills, personal skills, leadership. Will you be able to speak to a CFO if you've got him in the corridor, for example? So in my 3rd year, when I repeated, I've learned so much, not just technically wise, where were my weak points, but also what I also needed to do to become a well-rounded chartered accountant.
Lorin, would you say that failure was actually a stepping stone for you to achieve more? Your mindset has been changed and now you're capable of doing so much more. Would you say that that's the case?
100%. So initially with my 3rd year, I made BCom accounting my all in all. I was like studying nonstop. I was studying late nights. I was trying to do quantity per se. And then when I repeated my 3rd year, I stepped back and I said, I put become accounting as if it was an idol to me. And I had to step back and I said I had to put God in front of it before I could actually go and become the CA I wanted to be. I had to give him full control of my degree, my qualification. And since then, my mind shift has changes. I realized I even tutored people in the same year that I was in for my third year, where they never looked down on me because I was repeating, but I was given that opportunity to tutor them, mentor them, said, I failed because I made this my all. I didn't have weekends, didn't go to family functions, didn't go out because I studied. And when I realized that I put God in front of it, I had more time for myself. I studied less in my year that I repeated because I trusted completely in God and in myself, knowing my strengths and knowing my weaknesses and knowing where I need to focus. So I think a lot of the times what we do is we like to do our subjects that we love the most because we feel good about it and we feel motivated, but we don't necessarily focus on our weaknesses. And when it comes into the paper, then we completely fail because we were so focused on what we're good in, but we weren't working on what we were really not that good in, for example.
And on that, you've been an academic articles clerk, so you've lectured, you tutored, you even tutored those in your class with you in your third year. What advice would you give students who are currently in their undergraduate or even postgraduate who are struggling and maybe are only focusing on their strong points? What advice would you give them in terms of consultation, in terms of how to tackle the tutorials that they are giving and the tests?
So I've been to a lot of people currently now to help them specifically with that. What I did is what I really love what they say. It's about quality and not quantity. So management accounting is something I was good in. So I would never study per se for that because it was principles, it was rules that you have to apply throughout the scenarios. But something for like financial accounting, I had to go back to the theory to go and understand my principles with tax as well. So the advice that I will give is focus on your weaknesses. You don't have to study the same amount of hours that you study for one module. You don't need to study for the other module. It depends what are you good in and what are you bad in. So always just focus on those modules that you don't do well in. So for example, with myself, I would have for tax, I knew I would go to a question to see where my theory gaps were. And then I'll go back to my theory in my year that I repeated. So it's all about identifying your weaknesses and acknowledging it, and then working on those weaknesses throughout your year that you are now doing. And then your strengths, trust yourself that well, that when you go and write that paper, you're confident enough based on what you have learned. And I also feel people isolate your years. So you say, I was first year, now I'm second year, let me forget everything from first year. But you have learned so much through those years that it's building up to your third year. So don't just restrict your knowledge to it's third year, this is what I need to know. But there's things you have learned in your second year that can help you in your papers in your third year, for example.
I 100% agree with you. It's very important to retain information from your first year, your second year, and your third year, especially when you're in honors, even because when you're in honors, you're going to go through all 3 years plus more in not even 12 months, in less than 12 months, because that's what your honors year is, or your PGD year is, PGDA year is. And you need to be able to retain knowledge. And that's why you also need to keep your notes from all 3 years so that you can go back and be like, okay, my lecturer is explaining it on a more sophisticated level in this year because I should be more mature. I'm a third year. But let me go back to my first year, my second year notes so that I can see how they explained it more plainly to me so that I can use that in my understanding in the current year that I'm in. It's very important for students to realize also that the lecturers are a resource always. And your lecturer is not just a resource when you are at university, but your lecturer is also a resource when you're out of university, when you're in the workplace, when you have questions on something. I know I still speak to our lecturers from back in the day, and I ask them questions if I need advice on something. I'm like, can you please send me those notes? I need a refresher or something. So thank you so much for that word of advice, Lorin. And also, I'm very proud of you for, when you repeated your third year, in the sense that you saw that your degree became an idol in your life. I had realized the exact same thing, that I had put being a CASA on such a pedestal, and I had elevated it to a level that it's not necessarily is. And I think many of us do that. But you're going to come to a point in your life where you see it's not actually the CASA that's making me achieve all this greatness. It's actually the God in me and the God behind me that is, that I worship and that I praise. That is what makes me achieve all these things. And I learned that the hard way. I thought that my CASA could get me any job, and then it didn't. So I'm really proud of you and really grateful for you that you experienced that at such an early stage in your career. So Lorin, you've given us like so much good, like inspiring information, especially information for the younger aspiring CASAs. Was there any difficulties that you experienced, whether it was during your studying years or as an article clerk, that also made you change your mind or have a shift in your mindset with regards to being a CASA, or change your way in terms of how you reached your goal?
100%. So third year was not the only time I failed. So I always tell my mentors, like, I've learned from failure. I've had a lot. So I actually failed my APC board course program as well in my second year. And that was when I was transitioning from academic training, going into audit. And then I also had to do APC board course as well. So at that stage, I failed the board course. And not a lot of people fail the board course. People fail more the exam in the board course. And that knocked me completely. And I was like, how could I fail the board course? Like, what did I do wrong? Where did I go wrong? And then when I did my board course last year again, I realized, and my spiritual mother also spoke to me, that there's a reason I had to go through that failure. So when I did it last year, once again, I could help the second years of the year and said, this is what I did wrong. I did not focus on it. I opened my laptop and I was like, okay, no, it's things I know. But APC is such a mind shift as well that you can't think the same way you've been thinking throughout your academic careers. You have to think from a perspective that if I was a financial manager, how would I address this, for example? So I've been through a lot of failures, which I'm grateful for, because at the end of the day, now I can help the next Lorin out there, or the other person that's feeling like they want to give up, and say, there's numerous times I wanted to, but I had to stand firm and say what my goal at the end has always been, CASA. And that failure has just made me stronger in that sense as well.
Wonderful. It's always, sometimes when you don't experience the joy and excitement that you thought you were going to, and you'd rather feel a sense of where did I go wrong, that's when you start looking back and in hindsight, like, I did this wrong, I did that wrong, I didn't focus on this. And now not only do you get to improve on yourself, but you get to help other people. And that's always the blessing. It's always better to give than it is to receive. And when you can help somebody else make better decisions, when you can help them achieve their goals, especially when that goal is similar to yours, it is such a great achievement and such a sense of self-worth, actually, that you know that you can be helping someone else. So, Lorin, you did your undergrad, you did your postgrad, you did the APC board course, the ITC, the APC board courses, and you finally passed 2 months ago. They told you that you are officially a CASA. What was that feeling like?
That feeling, I think that was the most, passing the APC for me was the biggest thing that I've ever experienced because of the failure. But finding out I'm a CA, I sat back and I was like, Lord, it's here. What I've prayed for is here. Like, what I've worked hard for is here. For me, it was the most amazing feeling. The first time I found out, I actually just went on my knees and I sobbed. And I was like, thank God. Like, I made it through, regardless of the failures, regardless of sometimes wanting to give up, and regardless of having small bliss moments where you're enjoying it. I was like, thank God. It was everything I hoped for and everything even more than what I've hoped for. Getting that qualified CASA behind your name was worth everything I've ever been through.
That is amazing. Now, finally getting that email from Psycha saying you are now a CASA, you can use the designation. The first thing I did was I went straight to LinkedIn. I was like, I'm changing. I'm changing my name to CASA. Chanel Hercules CASA. It is such an amazing feeling, as you said, and you feel such a sense of gratitude. You know that all the years that you've been thinking about it, wishing about it, seeing it in the in the future, the not so distant future, and then you finally attain it and you can call it your own, and you can finally say, I am a CASA. No longer I'm an aspiring CASA. I'm in my articles, my CASA. No, I am a CASA. So I completely understand that, and I'm so happy for you that you achieved your goal, and you were able to help so many people along your way. I think, to me, that is more inspiring than the fact that you became the CASA, was that you were able to help so many people, Lorin. And I'm sure so many of your students, so many of the people that you are helping are going to watch this video and recall all the times that you were there for them and that you inspired them and that you were able to motivate them along their way. So, Lorin, our final question is, you are CASA now, you're a manager at PwC, a Big Four accounting firm. Tell us, is there any occupation that you would be in if you weren't a CASA?
I was actually, when I looked at this question, I was like, okay, what did I want to be? There wasn't actually anything. Like, I think CA was the go all. Like, that was the one that I wanted, and that was the one that I was going to get. So I haven't seen myself in any other occupation. And I think CASA just opened so much more doors. And that's why I'm grateful that this is the career. And regardless if I want to have an organization, non-profit, or start a business, having the designation helps me in all those streams.
I 100% agree with you. We had Salman Satardin, who was also an academic articles clerk in the year that I was, and also tutored you. He had said in his interview that the CASA is a key that opens so many doors. You just need to decide which door you're going to open with it. And it's so immensely true. I mean, I'm sure that you can see your own friends traveling the world, moving to different countries, starting completely different careers, moving outside of audit, going into technical accounting, going into advisory, doing so many things, even going into HR, so many opportunities that you have when you are a CASA, because it just opens that door for you, and people immediately know and consider you as being competent when you have that CASA designation behind your name. So thank you so much for being on Chats with Charnie. But before we leave, Lorin, is there anything, a word of advice that you would like to give to somebody who's an aspiring CA, somebody who's going to write ITC coming up soon, or somebody's going to write APC, a word of advice that you will give them to stay on this path and to continue to reach their goal?
Yes, so most definitely. I would firstly say maybe to someone that's in high school that regardless of your background and regardless of where you're coming from, it is possible. I see it daily. I see it at office daily. It is possible for you to achieve your goals if you set your mind to it. There's bursaries, there's funding, there's so many things out there. Just expose yourself to it and ask people. I think that's the big thing, is people are afraid to ask. You have every right to ask. There's LinkedIn where you can ask various people, can you please help me with that? And for that person that is probably failing, or I was a very average student, so as long as I got a 50%, I felt like it was 100% to me. So regardless if you're an average student, it is possible for you to also make it. Regardless if you feel like you're failing now, at the end of the day, you know what your goal is. You know CASA is for you, or other profession is for you. Just hold on to that end goal, and you'll be able to reach that goal at the end of it.
That is wonderful advice. Thank you so much, Lorin. And thank you so much for your time as well and being on Chats with Charnie. I am sure that your video is going to inspire many and motivate many. And it was really great having you. Thank you, everyone, for watching Chats with Charnie with Lorin today. I hope that you all have a wonderful day and that you could receive some wisdom from Lorin. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.